Hey, howdy, hello there once again to my future grandkids, or anyone else who's choosing to watch this, I suppose. Today, for my vlog, just kind of a little update. It is currently Wednesday, September 30th, and on Friday, October 2nd, I will be leaving for Rutherfordton, North Carolina, which is in Rutherford County, which appears on Google Maps to be kind of in the Asheville-ish direction. It's about a 3-hour drive. But anyway, Rutherfordton, at a long-term care facility there, is the location of my first assignment. Pretty cool. I got an email earlier this week, and it obviously named the facility, and I picked some shifts that I would be available for. So on Saturday and Sunday from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. I will be helping to staff this rehab center. I probably shouldn't mention the name. I don't really know if that's like a HIPAA thing, but better not. Anyway, that's pretty neat. I'm very excited. I have done some shopping for the whole thing. So yeah, it's kind of, it's not really it actually. A cool thing that happened this morning was that I, after doing some online training for different PPE things, I did my check off this morning. So that was with the East Carolina University School of Doctoral Nursing. They put together a presentation on how to use different forms of PPE, or personal protective equipment if you don't know. So how to use different forms of PPE, how to properly put it on and take it off. I did think it might kind of be neat as part of this check-in to maybe do a little demo. So I was gonna get something to drink. Walker's picking up takeout for dinner, but I'll just go ahead and do this, and then so I can just hang out after. So there are a couple of different forms of PPE that I feel like most people would be wearing kind of out in public during COVID especially. So if anyone's watching this before the time of my grandkids, maybe you could benefit or something like that. So I figured I would just do a little baby demo. Somebody might find it helpful. So something that people are using a lot nowadays is hand sanitizer. Obviously, or if you didn't know, but hand sanitizer, according to the CDC, is actually meant to be used when regular hand washing with soap and water is not available. So hand washing then is always going to be your best bet. It's always going to be the best way to go. But when you can't do that, if you either don't have time or don't have access to a sink and soap and water, hand sanitizer is a great substitute. So there actually is kind of a good way to sanitize your hands. You use the same motions when you're washing your hands. We've got hand sanitizer. You might remember this guy right here from when I did my epic PPE unboxing video. So the proper way is to make sure, first of all, that you get enough hand sanitizer on your hands. So just like a decent amount, not too terribly much. But then when you're rubbing your hands together, first of all, you want to rub them until they're completely dry. But you kind of spread the sanitizer over your hands. You want to get the backs of your fingers, the backs of your hands, the fronts of your hands. You want to get between your fingers from the front. You want to get between your fingers from the back, your fingertips. You can kind of just scratch your hand like this to make sure they get on there. Make sure you get your thumbs. And when you're washing your hands, you want to make sure you are scrubbing them using those same motions for at least 20 seconds. With hand sanitizer, as long as you got enough product on your hands, you just want to rub until they are dry. So mine are dry now. Another thing that actually has a proper way to do it that I think that a lot of the general public would do often and should do often, wear a freaking mask, is putting on a mask. So for a surgical mask, which I have, so give me a second. For a regular surgical mask, this is how you do it. For a cloth mask, it would be fairly similar. But just assuming that most people are going to be reusing these, a thing to kind of keep in mind is that the front of it, so the part that's facing outside, could potentially be contaminated. And there are a few ways to kind of mitigate that, but I'll actually talk about one of those in just a second. So what you do with the mask is you find the side with a little wire. You want to smooth that over your nose. Hook the loops behind your ears. Hold the nose down. And pull down the chin bit. And that's how you do it. You can keep smoothing down that wire part. One thing that in particular you don't want to do is just pinch it like this. And the reason you don't want to do that is because it makes a little, like, I don't know if you can see, but it makes a little tent right there. It makes a gap. And you want it to fit as closely over your nose as possible. And then obviously you want this bottom part to be underneath your chin. And so if you notice there, I really didn't touch a whole lot of the actual front of the mask. It was just kind of the top and bottom edges as well as the ear loops. With that being said, typically right after I put on a mask personally, when I'm like going to the grocery store, you know, somewhere in public, I always do a little bit of hand hygiene right after I put on a mask as well. As far as storing masks or for wearing them several days in a row, again, something you that might be cause for concern is the fact that the whole front part of the mask can get contaminated. You know, if somebody breathes on you or coughs on you, you know, the mask can help protect you somewhat, but then of course, all of those germs are on the front surface. So one thing you can do to help with that is when you are storing your masks, or when you take it off, first of all, make sure you're only touching the loops. It's a great way to avoid contaminating your hands again. And this is actually recommended to me in one of my trainings. I think it's a really neat tip, a really neat method, so I'm showing it to you guys. But what you do is you get just little gift bags like this. So you will put the mask down in there, hook the loop around one of the handles of the bag like this, and then you can just set it up like that. So that's a really neat way that your mask you can store your mask without sealing all of it in. English is only my native tongue. Wow. Yeah, but you do, when you store your mask, you don't want to seal it inside something airtight. You want to let it breathe. But you also want it to be protected against like all of the other things in your home that are presumably clean. So keeping it inside a bag helps kind of hold everything in, but does not seal everything in. So paper bags are great for that. What you'll do then is label the bag with the day that you wore that particular mask. Then when you do that, or you label it with the day of the week. And so then a week later, when you cycle back to that Monday mask, then it will have been a week since you really last touched it. And so any COVID virus, or honestly most other pathogens that would have potentially gotten on that mask will have died by that point. That's one of the reasons you don't want to airtight seal it, because they can live longer. But yeah, that's enough time for any, or for most pathogens that would have been on the surface of your mask to go ahead and die off. And during that time, you have kept track of when you wore it, so you can make sure you wait long enough. And B, you kind of, you're keeping it contained, so it's not laying on like your kitchen counter or your dining table, and potentially contaminating things there. And so with that being said, if you have 7 masks, whether they're disposable face masks or cloth masks, you can do something like this really easily. Just get 7 of these bags. These were like 99 cents at Walgreens, so really not a super expensive thing. Just label them with Monday or Sunday through Saturday, and you know that on the next Monday when you grab the mask from that Monday bag, then it is sat and it is clean and ready to go again. You can also keep wearing masks, especially if you're waiting that week in between, until they are like either visibly soiled or like, I guess, soiled and worn to the point that you don't feel comfortable wearing them anymore. Or if the actual material starts to kind of break down, and you can tell when it does, when the texture starts to change, when it doesn't hold its shape anymore, or again, if it like looks visibly dirty, if you've got like nasty yellow sweat stains, it might be time to get a different mask. Or if you're using cloth masks, just to make sure you throw them all in the laundry. So yeah, that's really masks and hand sanitizer, especially as far as like CDC guidance. Masks and hand hygiene, as well as like social distancing, staying 6 feet apart, are the most important things we can do. I truly believe that if we could all commit to doing those 3 things for just a couple of weeks, then this whole thing would be over. I know I've got this kind of exciting job coming up, helping with like COVID relief and COVID prevention. Let me be clear, I want nothing more than for this job to become redundant. I want more than anything to not be needed. So wear your dang mask. I don't really know how else to put that. Like I said, I truly believe if we all as a society could commit to doing those 3 things for just a couple of weeks, then this would be over. All the inconveniences, all the fear, all of your favorite places being closed, none of that would have to exist if we could just commit to doing these things. And I know they're inconvenient. I know it's annoying, and I know how much it sucks to be out in any public place and to be afraid, or to feel like everyone around you is judging you, if you're not wearing a mask, which granted, if you're out in public without a mask, I'm judging you, everyone's judging you, and you deserve to be judged. At this point. However, do the wear, wash, wait thing. If you can't do one of those, just stay home. That's the infuriating thing about all of this, is if people were actually just compliant with guidelines, it would have been over months ago. That's a little bit of a rant on my part. I don't want this to be an angry thing where every time I vlog or whatever, I am just mad. It is a frustrating situation. And ultimately, I want to help people. I don't want anyone else to die. I want us all to get back to normal, which is why I've chosen to spend a whole lot of hours and a whole lot of effort on doing my part to make it go away. So it would really mean a lot I don't know if I certainly don't consider myself a frontline healthcare worker, but I know a lot of people who are frontline healthcare workers, and it would mean the world to them, and truly to everyone who's been affected by this pandemic. The act of following CDC guidelines and of doing your part to stop the spread, and wearing your mask and social distancing and washing your hands, when the folks on the front line see you doing that, it truly means the world, because you're protecting those healthcare workers, and you're protecting the really vulnerable people in our society who might be immunocompromised or might have other conditions and really could die, or if not die, then suffer horribly from this. Living in fear is awful, and no one deserves to do it. And I really think that if all of us could do our part to help out, then nobody has to live in fear. And I truly believe it's possible. I think this is temporary. I mean, everything is temporary, right? We're all gonna die someday. We're all just sacks of meat and energy hurtling through space. Everything is temporary. But this state that we're in, that's stressing so many people out and making so many people upset, could be extra temporary. It's really on us. What you do as an individual does matter. And if we can all truly be in this together, and I know I hate when commercials and stuff say that, but as individuals, if we can respect one another and keep each other safe, then that's all we can do, but it's also all we need to do. This thing can be gone. We can make it happen. I really do believe in us. Protect yourselves, future grandkids. I hope to God this is all gone, and the new normal is no longer normal by the time you're watching this. But stay safe, and I love you, and nighty night. That's about it. Bye.